Well, up next in non-title tag team action, going to be the undisputed World Tag Team Champions John Van and Guy Cormier, the originals, set to face Mace and T-Bar of Retribution.
This next non-title tag team match will be one fall with a 15-minute time limit. First, accompanied by Slapjack from parts unknown at a combined weight of 374 pounds, the team of Mace and T-Bar, Retribution.
All right, for those of you who even care, from left to right, that's Slapjack, Mace, and T-Bar, Retribution. They were an ill fit in WWE under the guidance of Mustafa Ali. Let's see how they fare here in RWL in their first ever tag team match, going up against the originals in a non-title matchup.
I haven't got a snowball's chance in hell, Danny. Third-rate Party City Spirit Halloween ripoff of the Sectarians.
Don't laugh, Gene. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the Sectarians were scouting these guys.
Really? And since when do the Sectarians need bench warmers?
You know you're a cruel human being, Gene Barry. A cruel human being.
Someone has to be to keep this monkey-juggling insane asylum in order.
All right, well, let's try and forget our troubles for a little while. A party atmosphere. Invading's RWL Southwest as the originals join us tonight.
The single greatest tag team RWL has ever produced, Danny, and they're here tonight.
Their opponents accompanied by Sylvia Strong at a combined weight 510 pounds, the RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Champions, John Van, Guy Cormier, the originals.
Well, going on almost 7 years as Undisputed World Tag Team Champions, John Van and Guy Cormier, the originals. I mean, what can you say about them that ain't been said already?
How about they've never faced Mace or T-Bar of Retribution ever before? It's the first time. And you're seeing it right here on RWL Southwest.
I'll tell you what, Gene, if the front office sees this show and doesn't greenlight more episodes, something's wrong with them.
It's discrimination, Danny, absolute discrimination. It's because of Scott Bell. They don't want anything to do with him, but I'm the one producing the program. I'm trying to produce a quality show here. And it's hampered because of stupid Scott Bell.
Yeah, well, there are problems around here, but they're going to get ironed out.
Well, Tex is on his way back to the airport, hopefully, with a good feeling about us.
Hopefully. Well, we'll find out soon enough. All right, the referee sounds the bell. They lock it up. That's Mason there. Drives the knee into the midsection of John Van. Has him all the way up, long, stalling vertical suplex here. Gonna take his time with this one. And finally, here's the payoff. John Van lands like a rock. Here comes T-Bar. And there's Slapjack on the outside. Slapjack, what a name. These guys.
Practically the Three Stooges of professional wrestling.
John Van on the wrong side of town here. With T-Bar delivering stomps to the chest of the Chicago Hammer, John Van.
I don't know the originals as well as I should, but I do know Sylvia Strong, and Sylvia is this wonderful human being to work with. I'm hoping we'll get more of her business here in Southwest.
Well, we'll have to find out. T-Bar off the top with a crossbody. Goes for a cover. But it's a near fall. John Van finding his way out of the pin. Here comes Mace again. John Van trying to get to the corner. Tags in Guy Cormier. The Staten Island Crippler. And Mace mixing it up. Here's a power bomb from Mace. A sit-out power bomb for Guy Cormier. Cormier in trouble here. A senton. Mace misses the stomp. Tilt-the-world backbreaker to Guy Cormier. That took power. They lock up. Cormier Whipped into the corner. Mace nails him with a right. And now starts yanking his arm against the ropes. Mace in the driver's seat right now as far as Guy Cormier is concerned. Mace hanging up Guy Cormier in the tree of woe. But this is not good. The Originals having their share of problems here with Retribution. And T-Bar comes in, and Guy Cormier, you want to think about considering a tag at this point. T-Bar delivering hard right-hand shots to Guy Cormier, whips him to the ropes, and a clothesline takes down Guy Cormier. T-Bar tags in Mace again. Mace and T-Bar Retribution, well, as far as the tag team goes, they're working pretty good. All the way up into another sit-out powerbomb. Guy Cormier definitely wants to consider a tag at this point. Guy gets up, locks up, and now Mace with a third sit-out powerbomb for Guy Cormier. Guy is in some serious trouble here. Another tilt-a-world backbreaker. He is taking a beating. And finally nails Mace with a shoulder tackle. Now tags in the Chicago Hammer, John Van, Sylvia Strong, standing ringside. Got to be really proud of her number one guys, the Originals, who have been doing absolutely terrific. I can't remember the last time they lost the match. It's been a very long time. I'm not sure when it was, but it was the Doctors, David Schultz and Steve Williams. It was a non-title thing. Yes, that's exactly right, Danny. Here's a roll and a pin, but John Van not able to hang on to Mace long enough. The Chicago Hammer driving knuckles into the side of the head of Mace. Mace is reeling, and here comes Guy Cormier. Mace in big trouble here. So far, Retribution not doing too badly here, but Guy Cormier just nails Mace with a fist drop. Tried for a second one, but didn't nail it. Mace misses with a kick. Guy Cormier nails him with a Lutez press and just raining punch after punch on the head of Mace. Another near fall, but Mace finding his way out of the pin. Guy Cormier tags in the Chicago Hammer again. Sylvia Strong rallying the troops here, and they're back in the driver's seat. John Van, I don't know what that was, but it wasn't a move. John Van catching a sidewalk slam from Mace. Mace moves in, slams the Chicago Hammer back down, drives a knee into the back of John Van. And here comes T-Bar again. Slapjack. Who the hell thought of Slapjack? What the hell kind of name is that? No idea, but out goes T-Bar, like last week's garbage. Guy Cormier going after Mace as well. An overhand right takes him down as well. Guy Cormier. We've just lost referee Walt Rothburn. Down he's gone. Who knows for how long. T-Bar nails Guy Cormier with a right. The referee comes back to his senses. Mace is still reeling over there, and he's seeing the stars and the pretty birds. John Van rounds up T-Bar. Hard whip to the ropes. T-Bar puts on the brakes. John Van right there to stop him. And a belly-to-belly suplex. The Chicago Hammer tags in Guy Cormier. The Originals regaining control of this matchup from Retribution. They were in the driver's seat in the early goings, but John and Guy regaining control of this one. And another quick tag to John Van again. Here comes Mace on the tag. Fresh partners all the way around. Mace has John Van up again for the long stalling vertical suplex. A revolting display of power, but nicely done. And again, down goes the Chicago Hammer. John Van counters with a kick, gets back up on his feet. Whips Mace out onto the apron. John Van tags him with a couple of rights. And out he goes onto the floor. John Van going after Slapjack too. Why not? T-bar is laid out. Guy Cormier watching Mace on the other side of the ring. Slapjack giving John Van a really wide berth. An awful lot of space. Cheap back 200 feet. John Van finally nailing T-bar. Takes him down into a headlock, and he's not even involved in the match directly. It could be a disqualification. Mace finds his way through the ropes, but finds nothing but floor. T-bar finally starting to come to his senses. Slapjack has been taken out of the match here. Mace slams down John Van. The referee's been counting for a while now. John Van takes down Mace. Slapjack finally comes to his senses. T-bar taking an awfully long time to collect his thoughts. A slap across the face from Mace to John Van. And a rolling one-arm suplex. Mace putting the hurt on the Chicago Hammer here on the outside. It's not a good place to be. Need to get the match back inside the ring quickly. We're running out of time. The referee's still counting. John Van on Dream Street over here. Oh no, a brain squeeze from Mace, the Chicago Hammer, about to lose all senses. Face down into the floor. Goes the Chicago Hammer, John Van. And now Mace has him up, slams him down. Again, the referee counting. Mace finds his way back inside the ring. Might take John Van a while to recover. Mace comes back out, gets him back inside. Knows he can't win the match out there. John Van, back to his senses, drives a knee into the gut of Mace. And wisely tagging out, here comes Guy Cormier. And here comes T-bar. Fresh partners again. Guy Cormier opens up with a series of shots. T-bar counters. They lock it up in a choke toss halfway across the ring to Guy Cormier. Cormier counters with an elbow, gets back up on his feet. And another Lutez press, this time to T-bar. Catching Knuckles right to the face. These guys, Retribution. I don't know, they don't remind me of the Sectarians. You know they remind me of, Gene? Slipknot. You ever hear that band, Slipknot? They all come out in masks and stuff. That's them. John Van, tagged back in. T-bar, rounded back up by John Van. Oh, inverted atomic drop and then a crossbody splash. The Chicago Hammer rounds up T-bar. A series of shots, a spinning back fist. T-bar taken down into a headlock. The Chicago Hammer really starting to open up here. T-bar counters his way out of the hold. Guy Cormier comes in on the tag. Guy Cormier quickly going for a cover, but only getting a 2 count. T-bar still not willing to give up here. Guy Cormier catches a knee. T-bar misses with the spear. Guy Cormier was really quick right there. Inverted atomic drop and into a crossbody splash right across the chest of T-bar. And here's the claw, the brain claw. And that could be the end right there. The referee says nope, not yet. Now it's total chaos. Mace whipped to the outside. T-bar still laid out. Guy Cormier quickly going for a tap pin here. 1, 2, 3. That's a wrap. The original taken out. Retribution by pinfall.
The time, 11 minutes and 6 seconds. Your winners, John Van and Guy Cormier, the originals.
You know, Danny, old man, it isn't for nothing the originals are considered the greatest tag team ever created by RWL. And we've just seen a shining example of why. John Van and Guy Cormier. taking out Retribution in pretty spectacular form. Greatest tag team ever, indeed, for sure. And probably be undisputed World Tag Team Champions for a long time to come. Well, Retribution kind of starting out strong, and it looked pretty good for them in the early goings, but after a while, it just kind of wore down. John Van and Guy Cormier absolutely dominant, as usual. The Originals picking up a pinfall win over Retribution, Mason T-Bar. Fans, you're going to want to be with us for the main event coming up next. Macho Man Randy Savage set to go one-on-one against the Mexican monolith Warlord Santos after these words.